We like to bring in Dr. Joe Congeni from Sports Medicine Center at Akron Children's Hospital to visit with us here on 1590 WAKR. Joe, what's on the list today?
Hey, Ray. How are you today?
I'm doing great,
Good. There was a story, and I love these because so instructive for young athletes and their parents, and we hear the other side a lot. But the story that came by in the last week regarding our Cleveland Browns #1 overall draft choice, Myles Garrett. A lot of people are a little bit confused about this thing. Is he was held out for a couple of weeks, a few weeks ago, with what was called a concussion, and he did not have the symptoms after the game, on the hit necessarily. His type of concussion I want to go into just a little bit today is called a Monday morning concussion. That's what we call it. And the full-blown concussion symptoms can take 12, 24, 36 hours later before they all come out, Ray. And so this happens quite frequently in our high school kids and even our younger kids, that they may not have full-blown concussion symptoms right off the bat the day of their sporting event, their soccer game, their basketball game, their football game, and that you can get these later. And so initially you just don't feel right. And some of the things, then Myles Garrett got some criticism actually for reporting these symptoms 24 hours later, and some of what he said was like a public service announcement for what we've been talking about with concussion for a long time. In quoting him, he said, "I'll play through my foot, my arm, anything that's affecting me below the neck, but I can't play around with my brain. You don't want to mess around with your mind." That is exactly what we say with a lot of other injuries. Extremity injuries, elbow, shoulder, knee. There's some high school kids, their senior year, they play with an ACL for a little while or other things. But with a concussion, you just can't. And we don't know what the percentage is, right? It's really a hard thing to study. Could it be 15? Could it be as much as 30% of concussions show up later? But he went out to dinner that night with his family from Texas, and he just didn't feel right. And he woke up the next morning with significant headache symptoms, dizziness, sick to his stomach, nauseous, what would be concussion symptoms. And he went into the Browns medical staff and reported those symptoms and, of course, was put into the concussion protocol. And so I would please, like to star this for all these younger athletes to listen to this guy at the highest level. And I don't know how many high school athletes get these and hide the symptoms, don't say anything to anybody, don't know what they mean. But it was a great opportunity for us to bring this out because I really would like kids, if they get these Monday morning concussions, and medical people too, to be aware that they occur like this and to treat them appropriately.
Very concerning to me about the word hiding, Joe, that we had 3 instances in the last 2 weeks in the NFL, and I had a hunch this might be happening, that these NFL teams don't want their guys off the football field and don't want them to acknowledge concussions, and that goes hand in hand with the players. They don't want to be tested. They want to get back out there, and, here we go. And I thought this could be a dangerous, slippery slope.
Yeah, kind of almost making a little bit of a mockery of the new rules where the officials said, okay, this guy needs to be checked out, and Russell Wilson went in the sideline or tent. He didn't even sit down. He was in the tent. Of course, they saw it, showed it on TV, didn't even sit down in the tent. He was literally in there 3 seconds and came back out because the official didn't like what he saw. So, there's so many stories like that young people see. We just don't know enough about this injury. Head and neck injuries are not to be messed around with, and the fact that they can show up later confuses people. Most injuries like a knee or an ankle, what you have on the field is what you have, on Monday morning or the next day. This injury is different. People just don't feel quite right, and they can't say why, and then they have the bad headache. Many of our high school kids go to school and they sit in their first class and they're significant headache. They have light sensitivity and noise sensitivity the first time they go back to school. And that's concussion symptoms, even showing up 24 or 36 hours later.
Dr. Joe Congeni with us, Sports Medicine Center at Akron Children's Hospital. you'll have the best seat in the house on Friday, won't you?
I love that Barberton story. There's a couple stories. I love the Rootstown story, too. Aren't those good stories when you see kids from whence they came a few years ago, those programs, and to bounce up to be undefeated at this point? So the Barberton story is a great story. Of course, I'm embedded with the kids at Hoban. It's going to be a great game. Hoban's got a really good team, too. It's going to really be a good game.
Well, my friend, get your car parked early, okay?
We're going to stay warm, although I guess the weather isn't going to be too bad. My plea would be these young kids, get out and see them play. They work so hard, and they've come so far from August to November. If you love sport, take some time and get out and see these games. It's going to be great this weekend.
You got it, my friend. We'll catch up with you next week. Thank you.
Thanks, Ray.
All right, Dr. Joe Congeni, Sports Medicine Center, Akron Children's Hospital.